It was a bright and sunny Saturday afternoon in Maple Grove. Maple Grove was a small, quiet neighborhood. Everyone who lived there thought they knew everyone else. It was the kind of place where kids played outside, dogs barked at squirrels, and people waved hello over their fences. But that day, something big was about to happen. Something no one saw coming, not even the people who thought they knew it all. Let me tell you about Jake Riley. Jake was just a regular guy. He wasn't super tall or super short. He wasn't loud or wild. He was just Jake. He had moved into Maple Grove only a few weeks ago. His house was a small one with a little garage out front. That's where he was that sunny afternoon, inside his garage, messing around with a shiny new electric pump. It was a cool little machine, all silver and sleek, with buttons and a hose. Jake liked it because it helped him water his garden. He wasn't making noise, he wasn't bothering anyone, at least that's what he thought. Jake was happy that day. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and he was figuring out how his pump worked. He had a little table set up in the garage with tools, a screwdriver, a wrench, and a rag to wipe his hands. He hummed a little tune while he worked. Everything felt peaceful, normal, just another day for a guy like Jake. But here's the thing, not everyone was happy he was there. Someone was watching him, someone who didn't like him at all. That someone was Karen Phillips. Karen lived 2 houses down from Jake. She wasn't just any neighbor. Oh no, Karen was special. She called herself the queen of the HOA. Do you know what an HOA is? It's like a group of grown-ups who make rules for a neighborhood. They tell people what color their houses can be or how tall their grass can grow. Karen loved being in charge of that group. She walked around Maple Grove with a big clipboard in her hand. It was full of papers, lists of rules, notes about who was breaking them, and little check marks next to names. She also had a phone that she carried everywhere. It was like her best friend. She used it to call people and yell at them if they didn't follow her rules. Karen had short hair that was always perfect. She wore bright red lipstick and big sunglasses even when it wasn't that sunny. She thought Maple Grove was her neighborhood. She liked everything to be just the way she wanted it. If someone parked their car in the wrong spot, Karen would know. If a kid left a toy in the yard, Karen would complain. And if a new person like Jake moved in, well, Karen didn't like that one bit. New people meant trouble to her. They didn't know her rules. They didn't bow down to her like she thought they should. And Jake, he was the newest guy around. That made him a big problem in Karen's eyes. So there she was, that sunny Saturday, peeking out her window. Her house was close enough to see Jake's garage. She saw him with that electric pump, pushing buttons and smiling to himself. To Jake, it was just a fun little project. But to Karen, it was a disaster. She didn't know what the pump was for. She didn't care. All she knew was that it looked strange. It wasn't something she had approved. And if Karen didn't approve something, it wasn't allowed. That's how she thought the world worked. Karen's face got all scrunched up as she watched. She didn't like Jake's messy hair. She didn't like his old sneakers. She didn't like that he was new and didn't come say hi to her first. Most of all, she didn't like that pump. What is he doing? She muttered to herself. That thing looks loud. It looks wrong. This is my neighborhood and I won't let some new guy ruin it. She grabbed her clipboard and flipped through her papers. She was looking for a rule, any rule that said Jake couldn't have a pump like that. She couldn't find one right away, but that didn't stop her. Karen didn't need a real rule. she just needed to feel like she was right. Jake, meanwhile, had no idea any of this was happening. He was still in his garage, turning the pump on and off. It made a soft little hum, like a bee buzzing far away. Nothing loud, nothing bad. He wiped his hands on his rag and smiled. "This is going to make my garden so much better," he said to himself. He pictured his little patch of dirt out back turning into a jungle of flowers and vegetables. Tomatoes, maybe, or sunflower. He liked that idea. It made him feel good to be in a new place, starting fresh. But while Jake was dreaming about flowers, Karen was dreaming about trouble. She put down her clipboard and picked up her phone. She didn't even think twice. She started dialing a number 911. Yep, the emergency number, the one you're supposed to call if there's a fire or a robber. Karen didn't care about that. To her, Jake and his pump were an emergency. She stood by her window, tapping her foot, waiting for someone to answer. She was already practicing what she'd say. Hello, yes, there's a problem in Maple Grove," she'd start. "A new guy is making noise and breaking rules." Back in the garage, Jake was still clueless. He didn't hear Karen's phone call. He didn't see her glaring at him from her house. He didn't know she was about to turn his quiet day into a big mess. All he knew was that the pump worked great. He turned it on again and a little stream of water came out the hose. "Perfect," he said, nodding. He was proud of himself. Moving to Maple Grove was a fresh start, and this pump was part of it. He had no idea that Karen was about to try to ruin everything. Now here, where it gets interesting, Jake didn't know what was coming. He didn't know Karen was watching him like a hawk. He didn't know she was calling the cops over something as silly as a water pump. But Karen, she didn't know something even bigger. Her whole day, her whole world was about to flip upside down. She thought she was the boss, the queen, the one in charge, but something was already happening that she didn't see. Something that would make her wish she'd never picked up that phone. What was it? Oh, you're going to love this. See, Jake wasn't just some random new guy. And those cops Karen was calling, they weren't coming for him. Nope, they were already on their way for her. Why, what did she do? How did Jake fit into it? You're curious, right? Good, stick around, because this story is about to get super juicy. We're just getting started, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Let's rewind a tiny bit. Picture this, Jake in his garage, happy as can be. The sun is shining through the open door. His pump is humming softly. He's got dirt on his hands and a big smile on his face. He's thinking about his garden and how nice it'll be to sit out there with a lemonade someday. He's not hurting anyone. He's not breaking any real rules. He's just a guy enjoying his day. But across the street, Karen's got her phone to her ear, her voice getting louder. Yes, officer, it's an emergency," she's saying. She's sure she's about to win. She's sure Jake's about to lose. But here's the secret. Jake wasn't as clueless as he looked. He had something up his sleeve, something Karen didn't expect. And those cops, they were already rolling down the street, lights off, quiet as mice. They weren't coming because of Karen's call. They were coming because of something else. Something she did, something she thought no one knew about. What was it? Oh, I can't tell you yet. That would ruin the fun. But let's just say Karen's perfect little world was about to crack wide open. So there they were, Jake tinkering away and Karen plotting away. Two people in the same neighborhood but living in totally different stories. Jake's story was about starting over and building something new. Karen's story was about control and power and keeping everything the same. They didn't know it yet, but their stories were about to crash into each other. And when they did, boom, fireworks, drama. A day no one in Maple Grove would forget. Are you hooked yet? Can you feel it? The excitement bubbling up. Jake got his pump, Karen's got her phone, and something big is about to happen. What's the secret? Why are the cops really coming? How does Jake fit into all this? Don't go anywhere, because this is just the beginning. Things are about to get wild, and I promise you'll want to see how it all turns out. Karen strutted over to Jake's house like she was the boss of the whole street. Her shoes clicked on the pavement, loud and sharp, like she wanted everyone to know she was coming. She stopped right in front of Jake's garage, her hands on her hips, her big sunglasses sliding down her nose a little. She stared at Jake, who was still sitting there with his shiny electric pump. "What's that racket?" she snapped. Her voice was mean, and she pointed at the pump like it was some kind of scary monster. Jake looked up at her, his eyebrows scrunching together. He was confused. "It's just a water pump, ma'am," he said, nice and simple. "It helps my garden grow." He even smiled a little, thinking maybe she'd understand. The pump wasn't loud, it just made a soft hum like a little fan spinning. Jake didn't see why it was a big deal. He was just trying to water his flowers and maybe grow some carrots. But Karen, oh, she didn't care about that. Her eyes got small and squinty, like she was mad at the whole world. "A water pump," she said, her voice getting louder. "This is against HOA rules." She shouted it so loud that a bird flew out of a nearby tree. Jake tilted his head, still not sure what she meant. The HOA was that group Karen ran, the one with all the silly rules about grass and mailboxes. But Jake hadn't heard of any rule about pumps. He didn't think he was doing anything wrong. Karen wasn't done though. She puffed out her chest like a big angry chicken. "I'm calling the cops," she barked. She yanked her phone out of her pocket so fast it almost fell. She started pressing buttons 9-1-1 like it was her favorite thing to do. To Karen, that phone was like magic. She used it all the time to tattle on people. If someone's dog barked too much, she'd call. If a kid left a scooter in the yard, she'd call. And now, because of Jake's little pump, she was calling again. Jake watched her, still sitting by his pump. He didn't yell back, he didn't get mad, he just shrugged his shoulders like it was no big deal. "Okay, call them," he said. His voice was super calm, maybe too calm. It was the kind of calm that makes you wonder what he's thinking. Did he know something? Was he scared? Karen didn't care. She was too busy talking into her phone. "Yes, hello," she said to the person on the other end. "There's a problem here, a noisy machine. It's ruining everything." While Karen yelled, Jake leaned back a little. He wiped his hands on his rag and looked at her. There was a tiny smirk on his face, a little smile, sneaky and quiet. Karen didn't see it. She was too busy waving her arms and stomping her foot. She thought she'd won already. In her mind, the cops would come, take Jake's pump away, and she'd be the hero of Maple Grove. She'd go back to her house, write it all down on her clipboard, and tell everyone how she saved the day. That's what she wanted. But here's the thing, Karen missed something big. While she was shouting and dialing, a police car was rolling up the street. It was super quiet, no sirens, no lights, just a slow crawl. The car stopped right behind her, but she didn't hear it. She didn't turn around. She was too busy being loud. Jake saw it though. His eyes flicked over her shoulder, and that little smirk got just a tiny bit bigger. "Why were the cops here?" "Oh, you're going to find out soon, and it's going to be good." Karen kept going. "This new guy thinks he can do whatever he wants," she told the phone. "I'm in charge here. I make the rules." She was so sure of herself. She thought Jake was just some silly guy with a silly pump. She thought she could scare him, boss him around, make him feel small. That's what she did to everyone in Maple Grove. She'd march up to people, point her finger, and tell them what to do. Most people just said yes, ma'am, to make her go away. But Jake, he wasn't like that. He didn't argue, but he didn't back down either. He just sat there, calm and cool, like he wasn't worried at all. The air felt heavy now, like something big was about to happen. Neighbors started peeking out their windows. They pulled back curtains and squinted to see what Karen was up to this time. They'd seen her yell before. They'd heard her complain about trash cans and loud music. But this was new, a guy with a pump. It didn't seem like a big deal to them. Still, they watched. They whispered to each other. "What's she mad about now?" one lady said. "Poor new guy," said another. Everyone knew Karen was trouble. Jake stayed quiet. He picked up his screwdriver and twirled it in his hand like he was bored. Karen didn't notice how relaxed he was. She didn't see the police car parked right there just a few steps away. The cops inside were watching her too, two of them sitting in the front seats, looking serious. They didn't get out yet, they just waited. Why, what were they waiting for? Karen had no clue. She thought the cops were coming because of her call. She thought they'd be on her side. But Jake, he knew something. That little smirk on his face said it all. He wasn't scared of Karen. He wasn't scared of the cops. He was just sitting there letting her talk, letting her dig herself into a bigger mess. The pump hummed softly next to him, still working fine. The sun was still shining. The day was still nice. But Karen, she was making it stormy all by herself. She was the thunder and the lightning, crashing around for no good reason. The tension was growing. You could feel it, like when you're waiting for a balloon to pop. Karen's voice got louder and sharper. "Hurry up," she yelled into the phone. "I need someone here now." She thought she was winning. She thought she was in control. But that police car behind her, it wasn't moving. It wasn't here for Jake's pump. It was here for something else, something about her. What did she do? Why were they watching her like that? Jake's smirk said he might know, but he didn't say a word. He just waited. So there they were, Karen all red-faced and angry, and Jake cool as a breeze. She was trying to start a fight. He was letting her. The cops were sitting there ready for something. The neighbors were watching, holding their breath. It was like a big show, and no one knew how it would end. Was Karen about to get her way, or was Jake hiding something? And those cops, what were they really here for? Stick around, because this is where it starts to get really exciting. Karen was still yelling into her phone, her voice loud and sharp like a barking dog. "Yes, officer, there's a disturbance," she said, holding the phone so tight her knuckles turned white. She paced back and forth in front of Jake's garage, her shoes tapping the ground like she was in a big hurry. She was mad, really mad, and she wanted everyone to know it. She thought she was the boss, and Jake's little pump was ruining her perfect day. Jake, though, he was cool as a cucumber. That means he wasn't worried at all. He just kept working on his pump, sitting there on a little stool in his garage. The pump made a soft hum like a happy little bug. Jake turned it on, then off, then on again, checking if it worked right. He wiped his hands on his rag and looked at Karen, but he didn't say much. He didn't yell back. He didn't even stand up. He just watched her, calm and quiet, like he wasn't scared of her big, loud words. The neighbors couldn't help but watch, too. They peeked out their windows, pulling back curtains with sneaky fingers. Some stood on their porches, pretending to water plants or sweep steps. They whispered to each other, their voices low so Karen wouldn't hear. "What's she up to now?" one lady said, her eyes big. "She's always mad about something," a man mumbled, shaking his head. They'd seen Karen do this before lots of times. She yelled about trash cans left out too long. She fussed about kids' bikes on the grass. One time, she even called a guy's mailbox ugly and told him to paint it. That's just how Karen was. She loved to complain. But Jake, he was different. He didn't argue with her. He didn't tell her to go away. He didn't even look mad. He just sat there watching her like he was waiting for something. His eyes were sharp and there was a tiny little smile on his face like he knew a secret. Karen was too busy shouting to notice. "This pump is against the rules," she told the phone. "I need help right now." She waved her free hand in the air, pointing at Jake like he was a bad guy in a movie. Here's the big twist, though, the part that makes this story so fun. Those cops Karen was calling, they weren't racing over because of Jake's pump. Nope, they were already coming because of her. That's right. The police car was already there, parked just a little way down the street. It had rolled up super quiet, no sirens or lights, so Karen didn't even know. She didn't hear the car doors slam shut behind her. She didn't see the two cops step out, standing there with their hands on their belts. But Jake, he saw it all. His little smile got a tiny bit bigger, but he still didn't say a word. Karen kept going, louder and louder. Her face was getting red, like a tomato ready to burst. "He's new here," she shouted into the phone. "He doesn't know how things work. I'm in charge." She stomped her foot and her sunglasses slid down her nose again. She pushed them back up, not even looking around. She was so busy being mad that she missed everything else. The neighbors saw, though. They started whispering more. "Look, the cops are here," one kid said, pointing. "Why are they here?" his mom asked, confused. Jake stayed quiet, messing with his pump like nothing was happening. He turned a little knob and a tiny squirt of water came out the hose. "Nice," he said to himself, nodding. He wasn't scared of Karen. He wasn't scared of the cops. He just kept doing his thing like he knew something big was coming and he wasn't wrong. The cops weren't there for him. They were there for Karen. But why? What did she do? Oh, it's so good. You've got to keep reading. Karen's voice got even louder. "Hurry up," she yelled into the phone. "This is an emergency." She thought the cops would come running to help her. She thought they'd tell Jake to stop, take his pump away, and make him say sorry. That's what she wanted. She wanted to win. She wanted everyone to see she was the queen of Maple Grove. But those cops behind her, they weren't moving. They just stood by their car watching her. One of them even crossed his arms, like he was waiting for her to finish. The neighbors kept whispering. "She's gonna be mad when she sees them," one lady said, giggling a little. "What's going on?" a man asked, scratching his head. They'd seen Karen boss people around before, but this time felt different. Jake wasn't fighting back. He wasn't running away. He was just there, calm and steady like a rock in a storm. And that little smile on his face, it was growing. Not big, not loud, just a sneaky little curve, like he was holding a secret in his pocket. Karen didn't hear the whispers. She didn't see the cops. She didn't notice Jake's smile. She was too busy shouting and packing. "I run this neighborhood," she told the phone. "He can't just do whatever he wants." She pointed at Jake again, her finger shaking. She thought she had it all under control. She thought she was the star of the show. But the real show was about to start, and she didn't even know it. Jake looked past her just for a second. His eyes flicked to the cops, then back to his pump. He didn't say anything, but you could tell he was ready. Ready for what? Oh, you'll see. The air felt funny now, like something was bubbling up. The neighbors held their breath. The cops stood still. Karen kept yelling. And Jake, he just waited, cool as ever, like he knew the best part was coming. What had Karen done? Why were the cops really there? How did Jake fit into this? It's all starting to heat up, and trust me, it's about to get so exciting. Hang tight, this story's getting better every second. The cops stepped out of their car, two of them, and they looked super serious. Their uniforms were dark blue and their faces didn't smile. One of them, the taller one with a shiny badge, opened his mouth and called out loud, "Karen Phillips." His voice was strong, like he meant business. Karen was still yelling into her phone right in the middle of a big, loud sentence. She spun around fast, her sunglasses almost falling off. The phone stayed stuck to her ear and her eyes got wide. "What?" she screeched, her voice high and squeaky. "I'm the one who called you." She sounded mad and confused, like she couldn't believe what was happening. The officer didn't move, he didn't blink, he just stood there looking right at her. "Ma'am," he said, calm and steady, "we're not here for him." He nodded his head toward Jake, who was still sitting by his pump. "We're here for you." Karen's face froze. Her mouth opened a little, but no words came out. The cop kept talking. "We got a report about illegal trash dumping," he said, "caught on camera." Those words hit like a big surprise, and everyone around could feel it. Karen's jaw dropped. It fell so low it looked like it might touch the ground. Her phone slipped a little in her hand, but she didn't notice. She just stared at the cops, her eyes big and round. She didn't know what to say, she didn't know what to do. All her yelling and bossing around stopped just like that. The air got quiet for a second, and then Jake looked up from his pump. He'd been so calm this whole time, just sitting there, messing with his hose and buttons. Now he had a big grin on his face, a real happy smile. "Oh, that's right," Jake said, his voice easy and slow, like he was talking about the weather. "I forgot to mention something." He leaned back a little on his stool, looking at Karen with that grin. "I installed a security camera last week." He pointed toward his house, where a tiny little camera was stuck up high, watching everything. "It caught someone dumping old paint cans in the woods," he said. Then he paused, letting the words sink in. "Guess who?" The neighbors, who were still peeking out their windows and standing on porches, all gasped at once. It was like a big ooh went through the whole street. They leaned closer, their eyes wide, their mouths open. They couldn't believe it. Karen, dumping trash, the lady who yelled about rules all the time. It didn't make sense until it did. Karen's face turned white, like all the color ran away. She looked like a ghost standing there, her phone dangling in her hand, her clipboard forgotten on the ground. Jake kept smiling, cool as can be. "Yep," he said, nodding. "Those paint cans were old and rusty. I saw them on my camera right there in the woods behind my house. Someone thought no one would notice." He shrugged, like it was no big deal, but it was a big deal, a huge deal. The cops nodded, too. "We got the video," the second officer said, holding up a little paper. "It's you, ma'am, clear as day." Karen shook her head fast. "No," she shouted, her voice shaky now. "That's not me, I didn't do that." But no one believed her. The neighbors started whispering again. "She's lying," one lady said. "I bet she did it," a kid giggled. Everyone knew Karen liked to act perfect, but now they saw the truth. She wasn't the queen she pretended to be. She was the one breaking rules, big ones. Jake stood up for the first time, stretching his arms like he'd just woken up. "I didn't want to make a fuss," he said, still casual. "But I figured someone should know about the trash, so I sent the video to the police." He looked at Karen and his grin got a little sneaky. "Didn't think they'd get here so fast, though." The cops nodded again. We were already coming, the tall one said. Your call just made it easier to find you. Karen's hands started shaking. She dropped her phone and it clattered on the ground. This is ridiculous, she yelled, but her voice wasn't strong anymore. It was wobbly, like she might cry. She pointed at Jake. He's lying. That pump is the problem, not me. But the cops didn't listen. They stepped closer to her, their boots thumping on the pavement. Ma'am, the second cop said, we need you to come with us. We've got questions about that trash. The neighbors gasped again, louder this time. Some of them clapped their hands like they were watching a show. She's in trouble now, a man said, laughing. Finally, a lady cheered. They'd all been bossed around by Karen for so long, told what to do, yelled at for little things. Now she was the one in the hot seat and they loved it. Jake just watched, his grin still there, like he'd planned this all along. Karen's reign of terror, the way she scared everyone with her rules and her clipboard, was over. Right then and there it stopped. She wasn't the big boss anymore. She was just a lady who got caught doing something bad. Her face stayed white, her eyes darting around looking for a way out, but there wasn't one. The cops were right there and the truth was out. Jake picked up his pump's hose and gave it a little squirt like nothing big was happening. Guess my garden's safe now, he said, chuckling. The neighbors laughed too. They couldn't believe how calm he was. Karen had tried to make him the bad guy, but he turned it all around. He didn't yell, he didn't fight. He just let the camera do the talking and it said everything. The cops put a hand on Karen's arm. Let's go, ma'am, they said, gentle but firm. She pulled back a little, but they didn't let go. This isn't fair, she cried. I'm the HOA queen. But no one cared about that anymore. Her crown was gone and everyone could see it. Jake waved at her as the cops started walking her to the car. Have a good day, he said, still grinning. It was the perfect ending to her big, loud tantrum. The street buzzed with excitement. The neighbors came out of their houses now, standing in little groups, talking fast. She dumped paint cans, one asked. On camera, another answered. Jake got her good, a kid shouted, jumping up and down. Karen's perfect little world was falling apart, and Jake, he was the hero who made it happen without even raising his voice. What a moment! The big reveal was here, and it was better than anyone expected. Karen thought she'd win, but she lost big time. Jake's secret camera changed everything. Now what happens next? Oh, it's going to be so fun to find out. The cops didn't mess around. They looked at Karen, who was still standing there with her mouth open, trying to yell. You're coming with us, ma'am, the tall cop said. His voice was calm but strong, like he wasn't going to argue. He and the other cop stepped closer, and one of them put a hand on Karen's arm. They started walking her toward their police car, which was parked right there on the street, its shiny blue and white paint catching the sunlight. Karen didn't want to go. She pulled back a little, her face all red and her eyes big. This is outrageous, she shouted, her voice squeaky now, not loud and bossy like before. I'm the HOA president, she said, waving her hands like that would make them stop. But the cops didn't care. They just kept walking, slow and steady, leading her to the car. The neighbors watched, their mouths open, their eyes wide. Nobody said a word to help Karen, not one person. They were done with her bossy ways. Jake, he just stood there by his garage, watching it all happen. He gave a little wave as the cops opened the car door for Karen. "Bye," he said, super casual, like he was saying goodbye to a friend leaving a party. Then he turned back to his pump like nothing big was going on. He picked up his hose, gave it a little squirt, and smiled to himself. The pump hummed softly and Jake nodded, happy it was still working great. To him it was just another day, except now Karen wasn't yelling anymore. Karen kept trying to talk as the cops helped her into the back seat. "This is a mistake," she cried. "You've got the wrong person." But the cops didn't listen. They closed the door with a loud thunk, and that was that. The car started up, its engine making a low rumble. The neighbors watched as it drove away, slow and steady, with Karen in the back. She was still talking, her hands waving, but no one could hear her now. The queen of the HOA was gone, at least for today. The street exploded with noise the second the car turned the corner. It wasn't yelling or arguing, it was cheering. The neighbors came out of their houses, clapping and laughing. "She's gone," one lady shouted, throwing her hands up. "Finally," a man yelled, grinning from ear to ear. Kids ran out too, jumping up and down like it was a holiday. "Jake got her," a little boy said, pointing at Jake's garage. Everyone was talking at once, their voices mixing together in a big happy buzz. 4 days after that, Maple Grove wasn't quiet anymore. Not in a bad way, it was a good kind of loud. People didn't whisper behind their curtains like they used to. They stood in their yards, chatting with each other, smiling and laughing about what happened. "Did you see her face?" one lady asked her friend, giggling. "She thought she was so big and important," the friend nodded. Jake showed her. They all agreed. Jake wasn't just the new guy anymore. He was the hero who took down the HOA dragon. See, Karen had been bossing everyone around.